Welcome to the Workplace Minute, powered by H3HR Advisors and sponsored by WorkHuman. Thanks for joining me for your quick update on what's important in the world of work. My name is Steve Boese. Today on the show, it's part one of a special three-part Workplace Minute series this week, examining how artificial intelligence is shaping and changing the U.S. labor market. For years now, much of the conversation about AI and jobs has been framed around a simple question. Will AI replace workers? The image that gets painted is one of mass automation, widespread job losses, and millions of workers suddenly finding themselves displaced by the machines. It's a dramatic story, and it certainly gets attention. But as we move deeper into 2026 and begin to look at the actual data emerging from labor markets around the world, a different and perhaps more important story is starting to take shape. The evidence increasingly suggests that AI is not replacing people in the labor market. Instead, it's splitting it. Recent research from PwC's 2026 AI Jobs Barometer report found that workers with AI-related skills are now commanding wage premiums that exceed 60% over comparable workers without having those skills. And at the same time, the research found that jobs exposed to AI are changing more rapidly than other occupations, requiring workers to continually update and adapt their skills. And meanwhile, new research from the European Central Bank found that despite years of investment and adoption, AI has not yet produced widespread unemployment or dramatic reductions in overall employment levels. Now that finding might surprise some people. After all, every week seems to bring another headline about AI-powered automation, software replacing routine tasks, or companies promising enormous productivity gains through artificial intelligence. Yet the labor market has remained remarkably resilient. Unemployment remains relatively low by historical standards, and employers continue to struggle to fill many high-skilled positions. What appears to be happening instead is that AI is creating two very different experiences inside the workforce. For one group of workers, AI is acting like a kind of amplifier. These workers are using AI tools to become more productive, more efficient, and in many cases more valuable to their organizations. Software developers can write code faster, marketers can generate content more quickly, analysts can process information at greater scale, consultants, researchers, designers, and knowledge workers across many professions are finding ways to use AI to increase their output and enhance their performance. And for these workers, AI often looks like less of a threat and more like a force multiplier. But there's another group of workers experiencing something quite different. These are the workers whose jobs involve routine information processing, predictable workflows, or tasks that can be increasingly handled by AI systems. In these cases, companies may not eliminate entire jobs immediately, but instead they may reduce hiring, consolidate roles, increase expectations for individual productivity, or simply decide they need fewer people performing the same work. Now, this distinction matters because it changes how we should think about AI's impact on work. Historically, major technological shifts often created more jobs than they destroyed, but they rarely distributed those benefits equally. The Industrial Revolution created enormous economic growth while also creating decades of disruption for workers. The Computer Revolution generated entirely new industries while making many other jobs obsolete. And the Internet transformed commerce, communication, and work itself while rewarding some workers far more than others. AI appears to be following a similar pattern, and students of economic history are probably not surprised by this. The biggest risk from AI adoption may not be that everyone loses their jobs, rather that the gap between workers who can effectively leverage AI and workers who cannot continues to widen. Those with access to training, education, technology, and opportunities to develop these new skills may find themselves becoming increasingly valuable, and those without those opportunities may find themselves competing for a shrinking pool of work that organizations increasingly view as automatable. This creates an important challenge not just for workers, but for the employers as well. Organizations often talk about AI in terms of productivity, efficiency, and cost reduction, and those goals are understandable. Businesses exist to compete and to grow and to generate value for their owners and shareholders. But leaders should also recognize that every AI investment is simultaneously a workforce investment decision. Every dollar spent on automation, augmentation, training, or workforce development shapes who benefits from AI and who might get left behind. And the companies that ultimately succeed in this era will probably not be the ones that automate the fastest. They will be the ones that do the best job at helping their people adapt, learn, and grow alongside these technologies. Because if AI is truly splitting the labor market, then the question facing workers is no longer simply whether AI will take their job. The question is whether they will be on the side of the divide that benefits from it. And that's a challenge that every worker, every manager, and every employer needs to start thinking about right now. Thanks for listening to part 1 of our 3-part Workplace Minutes series on how AI is reshaping the labor market. Next, we'll look at why the labor market appears healthy on paper, but so many workers continue to report anxiety, uncertainty, and insecurity about their future at work. And a big thank you to WorkHuman for supporting the Workplace Minute, and be sure to subscribe to the HR Happy Hour Network on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Steve Boese, and this has been the Workplace Minute from H3 HR Advisors.